we are now joined by student athletes Sienna Betts and Kiki Rice from UCLA. As a courtesy to your fellow media members, as well as the coaches and student athletes, please silence your cell phones. Please provide your name and media affiliation each time you ask a question during the press conferences. If you are joining on Zoom, please use the raised hand function for questions. We will address questions in the room first and get to Zoom if time allows. We will now open it up to questions.
For Kiki, obviously, last game in the Pauley Pavilion. What's it been like just, being able to play here the last 4 years? And do you maybe recall what it was like when you first stepped onto that court and, saw the history, all the banners and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that it's already going to be, my last game in Pauley. I feel like these 4 years have flown by, but just really grateful to have been able to have a great experience playing here. I mean, I feel like each year the support of, the fan base here and the LA community has gotten better each year. So I think just seeing yesterday, seeing the crowd that we had in a first-round game like that, it was just so fun to step on the court and play. And I remember, when I first came here on my visit to see, coming on the court, seeing all the banners in the gym, in the hallway, and it just kind of motivated me and motivated, I feel like, this group to want to put up a banner of our own. And I feel like each year we've made steps, we've grown as a program, and it is really special for all of us to have been able to share the court, share these last few years together. So just grateful that we're able to finish it out on a good note.
Go first row in the middle.
Mike Regalado, Bruin 24/7. Question for both of you, actually. We were just here about 15 hours ago. Quite a short time, but have you looked at film about on Oklahoma State, and what problems do they bring to the game?
We definitely have watched film. They're a really, really good team, and I think we're gonna all just have to. Can I be honest?
Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, I never had a question about another team before. They're great shooters. They have good interior as well. I think we just have to play really connective defense and just play our game.
Nice. Go first row on the left.
Joe Puchowski, themightybruin.com. For Sienna, last night all three freshmen got to play, which didn't always happen all season long during the regular season. How important was it for you and your fellow freshmen to get out there and get your feet wet as far as playing in March Madness goes?
Yeah, I'm just really, really happy that we all were able to go in and leave some kind of splash. We're just such a great team, and just we understand our roles and we understand what the team needs from everyone, and we're just happy to be a part of it in any way that they ask and that the game asks. So just happy that we were able to go in and deliver because, it's all an honor to us.
Cameron Ruby from the 9. Sienna, kind of piggybacking off that, you had a double-double. What kind of personally, mentally does that do for you going into the next round? Beyond kind of your freshman camaraderie? Yeah,
I'm still a perfectionist, so I'm looking at what I could have done definitely better. A lot of those rebounds were my own, own misses. So I just want to be able to improve and learn from that game and just take what I can for the next game, hopefully to be better.
Yes. Second row on the right.
Sienna, Lauren last night talked about how excited you were for how well you played on defense. Throughout the season, just where do you feel like you've kind of grown the most?
I think I've grown the most mentally, just being patient with myself and just feeling comfort in the role that I have on this team and knowing that's okay and knowing it's helping for the future. And I'm just happy to be part of that role. But I think physically, I'm obviously still trying to improve, but I think I've grown a lot just in my rebounding and just dictating shots. Switching on to these little fast guards because, in college, the 4 is like another guard. So it's something very new to me.
Third row in the back.
Sabrina Merchant, The Athletic. Kiki, you guys have such a veteran team that has gone through so many of these experiences before. What's it like to have, Sienna being part of the rotation and sort of seeing it through her eyes again as a freshman?
Yeah, it's super cool. I feel like it reminds me a little bit of like, what all of our experiences were like as freshmen. I mean, I think freshman year is definitely really tough, but to see the growth that like each of our freshmen has had throughout the season, it's been really incredible. I mean, you learn so much. You're in a completely different environment. It's just a whole new level of basketball. So we all know it's not easy when you step out on the court, but I feel like, Sienna and the rest of the freshmen, like they're great players because they have really high expectations for themselves. And I think that's allowed them to grow so much this year and to continue to make an impact in whatever way that is.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, we can go front row.
Tracy McDonald, Bruin Report Online. Kiki, I believe you and Gabriella came in the same recruiting class, correct? I mean, what's it like just reflecting back and knowing that you guys were foundational pieces for, being able to accomplish so many firsts for this program?
Yeah, it's really special. I mean, Gabs and I are the only two ones left from our freshman class, but I feel like we've been able to really like stick it through here, and we came here with the mission to just get better, develop, help the program get better in any way we could, and to kind of develop a culture. And I feel like that has happened each year. And I think looking back, the growth and the times that we've had this year, they've all, it's been worth it, because I feel like we've really helped take this program to a new level, and just excited about the impact that we've been able to have. And it's also great for us because like we know we're going to graduate this year, and the program's going to be in really good hands with the next kind of young group coming up. So just really excited about that.
Joe Pachowski, themightybruin.com. Kiki, last game in Pauley. If you could go back and give your freshman self some advice, what would it be? And what would you do differently over the course of your 4 years?
I don't know if I would do anything differently over the course of my 4 years, but I would say the piece of advice that I would give myself would be just to enjoy every moment with your teammates, to stay confident, and recognize that like there's obviously going to be a learning curve, and there's going to be a lot of growth that you're going to experience throughout the 4 years that you're here, but that's what's going to make this so special.
Do you have any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
We are now joined by head coach Corey Close from UCLA. As a courtesy to your fellow media members as well as coach, please silence your cell phones. Please provide your name and media affiliation each time you ask a question during the press conference. If you're joining on Zoom, please use the raised hand function for questions. We will address questions in the room first and get to Zoom if time allows. We'll start with an opening statement from the head coach, followed by questions. Coach, go ahead and start us off.
Good afternoon. Appreciate y'all being here today. This time of year, I just am so thankful to be around this team another day. Someone said to me last night, my whole family's in town, aren't you tired? And I was like, if you're rested this time of year, something has gone dramatically wrong. And so I am so thrilled to have to stay up late and watch film and have a chance to prepare with this team and to hold the standard for another day and try to get better. So I'm just full of gratitude and thankful you guys are here too.
Go first row on the right.
Tracy McDonald, Bruin Report Online. When you look at this Oklahoma State team, both offensively and defensively, what maybe stands out, and do they remind you of any teams you've played this season?
Good question. I think that what stands out is their ability to shoot the three, their versatility, their work down the tunnel with the high ball screen. They're extremely good in transition. It's going to be so important for us to make them play later into the shot clock, which was going to be easier said than done. But I guess, with the exception, they don't have a really tall big, but they actually remind me in terms of their style and some of the actions that they run of Oklahoma. Their guard play, and one of the big things that we talk a lot about is trying to make them play later in the clock than they're comfortable with. Now we go through all the analytics, and the later you have them play in the shot clock, the less efficient they become. And they're 13th in the country in offensive efficiency. I mean, they're really, really good. Defensively, I think that we obviously need to really hunt the paint. We've got some advantages with our size there. But they're a really good team. And I think that they play really hard, and they played, I was so impressed with how connected they played yesterday against Princeton. So JC does a great job there, and, it's going to take us stepping up.
Hi, Marissa and Jemmy, LA Times. Corey, you have so many players who are projected to go to the WNBA, so I'm just curious, do you have any thoughts on the CBA announcement and just kind of what that means for this moment in women's basketball?
Well, we've been waiting for it for so long. It's really, it's about time, I'm really thrilled for players and their futures, this is... so many people have paved the way. Just like the growth we're even experiencing in college, we have so many people that before us to thank. That fought for better exposure and TV rights, who fought for, Title IX and resources to be allocated appropriately. And, and I think it's similar right now in terms of the CBA. We need to really thank the people in that room that fought hard. And I know Michaela Onyenwede has actually been really involved in processes as well. And so we've been able to hear about how that's coming along. But I also think we need to go, hey, thank you to all those people when it was really hard that you kept it going and kept growing and pushing the game forward. And, I think it's really exciting for what the WNBA can grow into and what our next steps can be in terms of growing women's basketball.
First row, second to the left.
Mike Regalado, Bruin 24/7. Coach, you just alluded to it, that this is a really good offensive team. And I'm looking at it right now, they're 17th in the nation in field goal percentage.
Yeah.
What does your team have to do to limit them in the paint as well as away from the basket?
Yeah, it's really difficult because they stretch you so far that it makes to take away the paint makes it more difficult, and especially that they're attacking down the tunnel, the middle of the floor, the majority of the time. So you don't have this established help side rotation. But we've played a lot of teams like that. I think about Illinois that also plays down the tunnel a lot, and we're going to have to do a great job with our pick and roll coverages. And if you force rotations out of the two people that are in the pick and roll, that's when you start to get yourself in scramble mode defensively. And they don't shoot threes off the bounce as much, but boy, the way that they shoot catch and shoot threes, if you make a mistake in your pick and roll coverages in the middle of the floor, that's when you're going to give up those catch and shoot threes outside of transition. I think that's the other time that they're most effective in finding their three-point shooters. So, it's one of those games where we're going to have to be able to guard our own. We're going to have to stick a little closer to shooters, and we got to rely on the two people in the pick and roll to be able to guard that on their own.
Go back row on the right.
Hi, Sabrina Merchant, The Athletic. You were just, chuckling at Sienna up here, having her, trying to figure out what to say, what she's allowed to say. Having been through this so many times, having such a veteran team, what's it like to be able to have somebody who just sort of reminds you, like, this is new and fun? And
yeah, that's pretty much every day with Sienna Betts is new and fun. She is hilarious, and I think that I knew some of our additions and what they were going to bring, especially on the court, but I had no idea Sienna and Gianna Neepkins were so funny. Like, they are hilarious, and Sienna, it's just like, every day is something new. And, we were announcing in film that she was going to, be here with Kiki. And all of a sudden she puts her head on Kiki's shoulder. And it's like this sort of, I don't know. She's just silly in all things, Sienna. And but that's actually one of the things I've loved the most about coaching her is, and I think actually she is so hard on herself and she's so driven. I think her humor is actually a saving grace for her. It's sort of a breathe moment. It's laughter, and because when she's not smiling and bringing joy, she's usually beating herself up for a mistake. And as she continues to grow in that, I hope it doesn't have to be her escape. But I just have absolutely enjoyed Sienna so much, and I'm really enjoying watching her grow. And it is so fun to see. This is my 33rd year in Division I coaching. I haven't been to the NCAA tournament every one of those, but I've been to a lot of them. And moments like that, when you get to see how new and fresh and fun this experience is, it keeps me young as well.
Second row, second to the left.
Beth Harris, AP. For the majority of the season, you're playing teams in your league, and so when it comes to scouting, the players have a high level of familiarity. Now here's the tournament where, it could be anybody, schools you guys just leagues you have, don't know anything about. I'm just kind of wondering in terms of the scout, how much more crucial that becomes as you advance, and in terms of the players, are they more focused in? Do they understand, boy, we really have to rely on this info because we just have nothing much to go on otherwise?
It's interesting because I think I came from the Pac-12 and I know that the NCAA tournament is going to mimic sort of that format. Even going to the Big Ten, which they have a Big Ten rule that you have to have 2 days before every game. And so most Big Ten teams, I think, always do 2-day preps. And we have made a practice that even though we have 2 days in between our first game 1 week and our second, that we only did a 1-day prep on the second game. And I think we just wanted to keep that sharp, ability to, prepare quickly, the way in which we administer our scouts from a staff perspective, as well as how we disseminate the information and have our players process that on that 1-day prep. That is sort of our MO. And so I feel very confident with that short turnaround time because we literally have been practicing it every week. And to the first part of your conversation, though, there's been a lot of challenges that people have talked about with conference realignment and all of those things. But one of the benefits being in the Big Ten is with 18 teams is the amount of styles of play you have to get good at adjusting to and playing against. And, congratulations to Minnesota, who had a big win on a buzzer beater today. I think it was Battle who hit it on their team. And I was just thinking to myself about the varied styles that I think, the SEC, they don't have as many teams, and I don't think they have as many varied styles of play. And I think the Big Ten has everything. from pressing teams to half-court execution teams, with teams with a post presence, with teams that play four guards, and all of those things. I think not only the one-day preps that we've just practiced all the time, but also the varied styles of play in an 18-team conference, I think really pays dividends this time of year.
Go first row on the far left.
Joe Pachowski, the Mighty Bruin. Coach, as you guys were playing yesterday, your counterpart for Oklahoma State, Coach Holt, was courtside watching you guys play. Do you find it easier to scout a team live in person, or is it easier to scout them watching film?
I think it's a combination. I chose to watch it in the locker room, the first game, the Princeton-Oklahoma State game, only because this is our home stadium, so it's harder for me to sit there and not have somebody come up and say hello, which of course I love, but to protect myself, and let alone having other people have to put up with me. But I wanted to be so I could really focus, but I think it was the circumstances. If we were on the road, I would probably have been out next to the people who's responsible for the scout. But by the time we get to a game like that, we've already broken down 10 games. And we're now just maybe checking for signal calls. We're making sure they didn't put anything new in. We're really tweaking at that point. We're not game planning at that point. That has pretty much been derived. And so I think it's just a supplemental thing and it's a comfort thing. But I could not thank our video team and our assistant coaches more. I think they are so good at their jobs. And there's a pair that work on each game. And so yesterday was Madison Blevins and So, our assistant coach, and So Matsura. And then today is Tony Noonan and Michaela Unready. They're the pair, the scouting pair. And the work they put in, it just sets me up to sort of show up and go, okay, what are we thinking here? How are we going to go about this? As an offensive, co-offensive coordinator, what kinds of reads and actions are we preparing for? And that's sort of how I approach it.
Second
Probably
row,
more than you wanted. Sorry.
Second row, second to the right.
Hi, Coach. Cameron Ruby from the 9. I'm wondering, you've talked so much about mental preparation all season, and I'm just curious. I think March is so crazy because you have the ebbs and the flows of the tournament and then another tournament. How does it change round 1 to round 2? I know you guys are such a one game at a time team.
Yeah.
How does that prep change as the tournament goes on?
I sort of even saw a difference in their eyes today when we were watching film. Remember, we're coming out of final exams. We've had this incredible weather. So I used to joke around with the coaches at UConn. CD, their associate head coach, would go, everybody knows why they're coming to UConn, and it's not the weather. And, so I think there is actually something to be said of, it's go time. I think they felt that yesterday, okay, we've had media, we've had selection show, we've had finals, we've had, all these things happening. And it was, and I think we were all not happy with how we started it, but I think it was a really healthy jarring of what, we are narrowing it in, and this is a business trip, and everything else doesn't matter except our preparation. And so I really do think I think there's a increased sort of urgency, appropriately so. One other thing about the mental side of the game. So you said that. One of the things that we talked about today is Tasha Brown runs our mental conditioning program, and she is just spectacular. And we were talking as in our staff meeting about how they have more tools than they're accessing. So yesterday, adversity and disruptions of our rhythms, different things that happen before the game, leading up to it, they have more tools in their toolbox than they're accessing. And that's what we reminded them today. Okay, what does it look like for us to get to neutral when something comes in that's out of our control? What does it look like for us to take a deep breath, remember what our game plan is? How do we have those responses faster? There's going to be adversity to every game. There's going to be something that happens. And Tasha's challenge to our team today was remember the tools that you already have, that you've worked on, that you've earned, and let's see if we can access those quicker.
We have time for one more question. More questions? Go front row on the left.
Joe Pachowski, the Mighty Bruin. Coach, you've talked all year long about having the growth mindset and watching the team grow each and every day. If you had to pick one player who's grown the most this year, who would that be?
You're trying to get me in trouble now, aren't you? I mean, I think it is, I think it's been, I could pick a different person every week. And, you know, I think there's so many. Like, I have been so thrilled, and I think that you guys haven't seen it as much, but I might take Amanda Muse. But it's just a hard thing because what I'm seeing is in practice every day, and what you guys are seeing is in the games every week. But I just think it's, to me, it's not about picking one person. It's about making sure that is truly not just a core value that sits on a wall somewhere, a growth mindset, but it's something that we truly live. And, you know, we always say that celebrate what you want to see more of, right? And have accountability and don't allow the things that you don't want in your boat, so to speak. And I think we want to celebrate growth all the time. And I just want it to be not something that we give lip service to or a part of our mission statement, but it's a part of our behavioral habits all the time. And I think the fact that I can't really pick somebody out totally says that they're doing a pretty good job of that.
Last question right here.
Tracy McDonald, Bruin Report Online.
I like your Big West outfit there. You know, I'm a Big
long
West.
yeah.
Go Gauchos. Okay, all right, go ahead. Good. Sorry.
Just one more thing about Oklahoma State. You look at the numbers individually.
Yeah.
I think they're one interior post presence. Acott, she's I think 6th in the nation in
really
field
good
goal percentage. Is there anything that she does against bigger opponents that you've seen that makes her crafty?
Well, I think she's not usually catching the ball in the, what we call it, the war zone or at the rim. She's catching it in that high post area, and then she's really attacking downhill from that point, or she's really getting it off of rolls in their pick and roll offense, where she's getting pocket passes where she can use her mobility, and it's not a back to the basket hits you kind of thing. It's getting her on the move, which really plays to her strengths. I think she's just really crafty. She's really got good footwork. She knows how to sort of avoid shot blockers. I think she's a really solid player. And they've got some players. You talked about her efficiency in the numbers. Number 6 has got, she's 67% of her shots are mid-range. And analytics would tell you that that's not great. But she makes 50% of them. So now all of a sudden it's really good. She's so efficient. And that forces you to play a little bit differently in some of the pick and rolls when she's involved. So they have a lot of players who know who they are and where and when they're at their best, and they play to those strengths really well.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
We are now joined by student athletes Akola Cott, Staley Hurd, and Haley Timmer from Oklahoma State University. As a courtesy to your fellow media members as well as the student athletes, please silence your cell phones. Please provide your name and media affiliation each time you ask a question during the press conferences. If you are joining on Zoom, please use the raised hand function for questions. We will address questions in the room first and get to Zoom if time allows. We will now open it up to questions. Second row.
Caden Cox with Yokali. Timmy, JC's kind of mentioned she brought you in for your postseason experience. Yesterday, you were able to help deliver a win. Just kind of, how does it feel leaving a lasting impact in here in just 1 year at OSU?
Yeah, obviously it's my last year, and I feel like I've gained a lot of experiences and been really fortunate to be on a lot of successful teams. And so I think nothing really changes this year. Just want to play as long as possible, and super excited for the opportunity to play again tomorrow.
You can go again, second row on the right.
And then for all three of y'all, I think last I looked, y'all are like 27-point underdogs tomorrow. Is that extra fuel?
Definitely.
I did not know that, but yeah, that's definitely adds fuel to the fire.
I think we believe in ourselves more than anyone else, and I think that's really all we need. And honestly, like Coach was talking about it, but we wouldn't be surprised if we won. And so I think just going in with that mindset, just to attack the game and just believing in ourselves, even if nobody else does.
Do we have any other questions? One more time.
A2, you've gone up against, Beers at OU, Crooks at Iowa State, now Betts here at UCLA. Just kind of how does the experience against those two bigs help you for tomorrow?
I think I've always been on teams with tall players, so I've been having that experience, and I just think now's the time to put it to use. And I think all the lessons I've learned against Audie and Beers, like now's the time to use that, and I think I've learned a lot coming here.
Cameron Ruby from the 9. I'm just curious, we've heard so much from coaches and players about taking everything one game at a time. Can you talk a little bit about the mindset shift that has to happen between a first-round game, a second-round game, in March?
Honestly, yeah, I said this yesterday that we have to take one game at a time, and now today we're talking about UCLA, and that's all we're worried about. We're not worried about any other game past this. We're worried about getting the job done here, and I feel like this is my first time going to the second round, and it's honestly very exciting, but we honestly can't let this excitement get to us, and we just have to stay locked in and stay focused on the game plan and executing and just being us like we have been all season long. So
I think for the first game, the start of the game is like the most important thing. But I think the second game, like with a good team like UCLA, it's 40 minutes. The whole entire game we have to be at our best and be connected and just listen in and execute. So I think now we're just putting everything together and playing a full game of good basketball.
Do we have any other questions in the room? Yeah, you can go one more time, second row.
Timmy, last year you played UConn in the second round. They ended up winning the national championship. UCLA is kind of the same type of team as UConn, who they have good odds to win the Natty again this year. Just kind of, how do you use that experience from last year to help you this year?
Yeah, I mean, every team you play in the tournament is going to be firing on all cylinders and really elite. And so I think just coming in knowing that nothing is going to come easy, kind of what A2, we call her, just talked about. But we have to play 40 minutes, and we can't waste possessions on offense or defense. And so I think it's really just going to come down to possessions, so just making the most of every possession.
And then, you've missed a season due to injury. Just kind of, how have you been able to help Macy get through this year?
Yeah, it definitely changes your perspective and gives you a fresh outlook on the game, and I think you can grow a lot coming back and become a better player. And so just encouraging her through that and helping her to see that, coming back, you are almost better because you got to see the game from the outside looking in, and you just have your body's fresh and all of that. So yeah, just encouraging her in that way.
We have a question on Zoom. I'm going to allow McLean Baxley to ask his question.
For Timmy and Staley, what is HL meant for y'all's team this year, giving that post presence on both sides of the floor?
Honestly, I play with a lot of big post players. A2 is a really, really good, solid. I'd say most people would say she's an undersized 5, but she's just mobile. She's active. She's one of the best finishers I played with. She has good hands, and I feel like she's just been a really good presence for us on the court, on and off the court, honestly.
Yeah, I would just say she's a really smart player. Like, she's just very, like, in control. She makes good reads, and honestly, like, I have so much confidence every time she has the ball that she's going to either go up and finish it or kick it out. Like, she's just a really smart player, and I think it's just so much fun to play with people like that because you can just trust them and you know they have your back. And even on defense, like, us guards will lose our person and she'll cover it up, and you might not see that on the stat sheet, but she just does so much for our team, and she just fills in the gaps and is just a beast. So.
We have another question on Zoom from McLean Blacksley.
And then for Itchell, they two of them went through NCAA tournament last year. What's this this week or so been like for you? Just kind of going through your first postseason play.
I think it's exciting. Last year, my first 2 years, we never made it to the tournament. So I think that feeling of not playing right now is I just have it all bottled up inside me. Like, I'm just excited to play and just to be able to keep playing. So whatever my team needs, that's what I'm going to do.
Do we have any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
We are now joined by head coach J.C. Hoyt from Oklahoma State. As a courtesy to your fellow media members, as well as the coach, please silence your cell phones. Please provide your name and media affiliation each time you ask a question during the press conference. If you are joining on Zoom, please use the raised hand function for questions. We will address questions in the room first and get to Zoom if time allows. We will start with an opening statement from the head coach, followed by questions. Coach, go ahead and start us off.
It's just a huge blessing to get to be one of the few teams that still gets to play this time of the year, and we are thrilled about that. Very, very excited to face a team that I've been able to watch all season long and just have so much respect for. Corey Close is a coach that probably doesn't realize the impact that she's had on me as a head coach. I have so much respect for her and the way that she goes about things. And so this is kind of a surreal opportunity for me to get to be up against a head coach that I have so much respect for. But like I said, I just very, very fortunate to be playing right now. Very excited. Feel like we've been playing our best basketball, and I've been saying that the last month, and just excited to see how that's going to equate to tomorrow. I have to give a special shout out to Caden Cox in the room, who came all the way from Stillwater to be here. I think that one of the cool things about being a part of Oklahoma State is just the loyal and true. That's our fan base that we hang our hat on. And Caden, you're a huge part of that. So just want to thank you for making the trip and being here.
We can start on the second row on the left.
Hey, Coach. Sabrina Merchant, The Athletic. When you start looking at UCLA, I mean, I assume a lot of things stand out to you, but what is it that really stands out to you about them?
I mean, there are a bunch of pros. There's a level of composure and poise that they play with. Obviously, they're great basketball players, but I think that a separator for them is their intangibles. And they just have this, like I said, a poise about them. The moment never seems too big. They never really seem to get rattled. It's a team that everyone looks like they understand their role, and they're very 2 feet in for what their role is, and they shine in their role. Obviously, you get to this time of year, there's no weaknesses in teams. I mean, there's weaknesses, but minor ones. And I think that they're a team of all the teams that are still playing that probably have fewer than most. Obviously have a great inside game, great outside game. Defensively, I think they're really good. I think everyone talks about their offense, but defensively, I think that they present a lot of challenges to teams. So just overall, their depth, their balance, and their composure is something that I think separates them.
Go second row on the right.
Coach, I really appreciate the compliment. It means a lot coming from you. Just, two of the top 10 offensive teams in efficiency, just, on paper, you guys might not have an offensive advantage. You've had an advantage in most of your games this season. Just kind of, how do you create an advantage for yourselves when on paper it might not look like you have one?
I think we have to put ourselves in as many advantage opportunities offensively as possible, just meaning our transition. Try and get them in the full court, because in the half court, like I said earlier, they're so long. They've got great size, they've got great speed and athleticism, and the more we can play in the full court, I think the better off we're going to be, because they're such a great team in the half court.
Third row on the right.
Hi, Andres Soto, USA Today. Yesterday, you kind of reflected on your first March Madness win. In a tournament environment like this, how do you find the balance between, enjoying those milestones while also knowing that there's more work to be done?
I think knowing that there's more work to be done is the joy of it. You get to keep playing. You get to, keep competing. And in my case, I get to keep coaching a team that I love. That's the joy. The madness of it, the work is the joy. The journey is the joy. And it's something where, you kind of take it in. And I did that, had a small moment with my family, put my daughter to bed, and then it's kind of get right back on the saddle. But that's the grind of it that you love. Competitors love that. I think coaches love that, pulling all-nighters, watching film, that sort of thing. That's what makes this time of year so special.
Goes second row in the middle.
Beth Harris, AP. JC2 was just in here talking about some of the prominent bigs that she's played against in the past, and I'm just wondering when it comes to her having to counter Lauren Betts, that's a very tall task for just about everybody, but how do you sort of see what she needs to do against Lauren tomorrow?
Well, I don't think it just falls on her. I think that it's got to be a total team effort defensively. We have seen some of the best post players in the country in our conference, and ironically, two of them, Audie Crooks at Iowa State, and then, in my opinion, Jalea Davis at Kansas, they just so happen to be our two plays this year. So we've got a lot of experience going against really great post players. I think Lauren is different in some ways, but it's the same principle. It's the same concept. And I think that what has allowed us to be successful against the two posts that I just mentioned is just a high activity level by A2. And her teammate Praise, who comes off the bench, and then just a total collective team effort. Lauren Betts is not someone that you can stop one-on-one. You got to have great help. You have to have great rotations. Got to box out and keep her off the glass, and I think that falls on everyone.
And if I can ask maybe a less serious question along the fashion lines, you had quite the eye-catching outfit on last night. Are you going to be topping yourself tomorrow? What else do you have in your suitcase?
I don't know if I'm going to top it, but I will be sporting something from a really, really sweet person who I've got to know just over the last week. She made my pants. Her name is Ellie Fala, and she happens to be the wife of arguably the biggest fan favorite on our men's team, Parsa Fala. She always looks so cute at their games, and so when I was in need for an outfit, I reached out to her and said, here's what I have, what can you do with it? And she flipped those pants for me pretty quick, and then she made a shirt that I'll be wearing tomorrow. So shout out to her. Again, loyal and true. We just kind of keep it all in the family at Oklahoma State, and really grateful that she helped me out last minute.
Along the same lines of fashion, just kind of whose idea was it for Taryn's shirt yesterday?
I did not know Taryn was doing that. That was a little bit spicy, a little bit bold of her, but that's who she is, and that's who we are as sisters. So that sisterhood obviously runs really deep within our program, but obviously with Taryn and I being blood sisters, that's a whole nother level. So Ellie also made that shirt for Taryn, and I didn't know that she was going to do that. I loved it, though, and I think that it's just a testament to the loyalty that I have with her being on staff. That's really special for me. I think as a coach, one of the hardest things to do is find people who are going to have your back in rooms that you're not in, and Taryn is that person for me. I know that she's always going to have my back, and she's going to be a proud sister. She always has been, and that's just a really special relationship that I get to have.
I think y'all are, last I looked, 27-point underdogs. I asked Staley and Timmy about that. They were kind of shocked by that number, but they also said that, you've said that they can beat anyone. Just, is it extra motivation when everyone kind of seems to be counting you guys out?
Yeah, I mean, we really don't get into things like that. I've been on the other side of that where I've been favored and it hasn't gone my way. So that's not something that we really put too much stock in. We know we're the underdogs here, and obviously being the lower seed and having a matchup against UCLA, who's been one of the best teams in the country all season long, arguably the best team in the country all season long. But the thing about our team that I love is they are at their best when we are presented with the biggest challenges. Our best wins of the season have come against teams that are ranked ahead of us, and we were picked to be the underdogs in those games as well. So it's really not about even having a chip on our shoulder as much as just enjoying the moment, enjoying the fact that we still get to play and get to be on a stage like we're going to be on tomorrow, and just be tested with our sisterhood, with our toughness, and the things that we really hang our hat on. So this team is definitely up for the challenge, and I'm excited to see what that looks like.
Second row on the left.
You mentioned a little bit earlier that Corey has influenced you more than she probably knows. I'm wondering if you could elaborate a little on that.
Yeah, so, gosh, it's just funny how all things are connected. The coach that I played for and worked for, her name is Jane Albright, and I worked for her at the University of Nevada. Jane and Corey are close friends, and I've just always, kind of got to be around Corey or had conversations that involve her through that coach that I played and worked for. And when I was at Nevada, I would do a lot of recruiting out here on the West Coast, and then even when I was an assistant at K-State, following up Nevada, would do a lot of recruiting out here. And Corey was really kind and gracious to let me into practice and, give me a practice plan and let me observe. And I've just always really admired the way she goes about things. I think she's a great teacher of the game. She's a coach who I feel I haven't played for her, I can't really attest to it, but from the outside looking in or in those practices, I think she's just incredibly, she's got a huge heart for mentorship, and she's a great teacher of the game, but I think that she's a great teacher of life to her players. And that's someone that I want to be as a coach and aspire to be and try to be every day. And I don't think there's a lot of coaches who, are really driven by that, honestly, unfortunately. But I do think that she's one of those coaches, and I'm really grateful for the example that she has set with that. But it's through that coach that we kind of have that mutual connection.
Go first row, right?
Joe Piotrowski, the Mighty Bruin.com. Coach, tomorrow night's game starts at 7 o'clock Pacific. That's 9 o'clock back in Oklahoma. How do you think that late start time is going to affect the team?
We've been out here for a while, and the thing about the Big 12, we're kind of used to traveling. Like, you go to the West Coast, you go to the East Coast. We've kind of done it all at this point in time. So I don't even know if our kids could tell you the time difference, to be honest. Like, they're kids, and the good thing about the late game is that they're always up at that time, even back home. So I don't really anticipate there being any challenges with that. They just kind of do what we tell them to do and take it all in stride. But I don't anticipate that really being a problem for us.
We have a question over Zoom. We're going to move to McLean Baxley.
Yeah, Coach. During the majority of Big 12 play, y'all really got kind of honed in on your lineups, using really 6 or 7 players. Do you expect to use more depth tomorrow night? You mentioned, UCLA having a lot of depth. Getting girls like Lena or Favor or other players involved Monday night.
Yeah, we're just kind of a coaching staff who does what we feel like we need to do to win at any given point. And there's been some games where you've seen, some of those players that you mentioned get a little more time. And then some games where that's just not the case. And not because the bench is doing anything wrong, but we just feel like the kids on the floor are really, in sync and finding success. So I think at this point in the year, the thing about our top 6 or 7 kids, they're used to playing a lot of minutes. I think Staley's had a couple games lately where she hasn't come off the floor. So that's nothing new to us. I think we feel like we're in great shape, and that's just kind of what we do is we don't go to our bench as much. But I'm also confident that, Praise and Lena are going to give us good minutes when their name is called, and we'll kind of see, what happens. Hopefully we can stay out of foul trouble. That always kind of dictates those decisions as well. But hopefully I don't anticipate that happening.
We have time for one more question. We're going to go back to McLean Baxley over Zoom.
And you talked about her all season, but Itchell, just her growth and her importance as the season's gone on. Can you just kind of elaborate and what you saw last night? Just 28-10, just another day at the office for talented player.
Yeah, she was really special last night. The cool thing about coaching her is we've all been able to see her get better and better each game, and she has truly been playing her best basketball this last month. And I think that says a lot because it's been against teams that are very high profile, or even the teams that have really great post players. And I think it's just a testament to her buy-in to what we do. It's a testament to her work ethic. She's the type of kid who will just run through a wall for you. And, when we brought her here, we didn't really anticipate her having to play the 5 the way that she has although our 5 is very different than most post players. We like to, really get up and down and use our speed and activity as opposed to just, back to the basket. So our 5s are a little bit different, but the way that she's just taken that in stride and found ways to improve each and every game has been really special to coach. And I think she's just figuring it out. Like, I think her best basketball is still ahead of her, and I'm excited to see how she can continue to grow and evolve. I know we have big plans for her this off season of how we can help her do that and extend her range a lot more. But her versatility is just so special in that position for us, and it's been really neat to watch her kind of figure out how to use that versatility.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.